So we've gone and made Rengoku's katana, but now I think it's time to make something flashy. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Frank, and today I want to teach you how to make Tengen Uzui's Nichirin Cleavers. Now, I guess we could kind of call them katanas, and you'll see in this video why they're kind of built like katanas, which is so awesome, but they're very clearly cleavers. Now, we've gone and made Rengoku's katana already, and it's going to build in a very similar way. I'm going to show you guys the entire process, where I got the files, how I cut them up, printed them, assembled them, painted them, and added a little bit of extra flair to them. Now, this video is probably going to be a little bit confusing for some of you because if you're not caught up in the anime right now, you probably still hate Tengen. He was kind of a jerk to Nezuko and Tanjiro, and he wasn't the most likable character in the first few episodes of Season 2. Now, I will tell you guys, I am planning on making a lot more Demon Slayer swords, but aside from the main three pro tags, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro, who else do you want to see next after Tengen's? Let me know down below. But that's enough rambling, so let's jump into it and start building Tengen swords. Okay, so before we actually get into building the swords, we need some 3D files to print. Now I'm going to show you the paid files I used, and you'll see why they're a little bit better. And there are some free files that I just found that really aren't too bad, and it'll get the point across. Let's get started. So you can see here, they're available at Cults 3D. Originally, I got them from CG Trader. I don't know why they got rid of them and whatever. But this is why this is such a cool file. It builds like a real katana, a full tang blade. Get this, 15 bucks, sweet, awesome. Now there is this free file on Thingiverse, Tengen Uzui Swords, Demon Slayer, there by Nave 3D Prints. Oh, the paid files, my bad. They are from a modeler named Borscht 3D. So thank him. Yeah, great job. So here is the swords dropped in the mesh mixer off of Thingiverse. These are the free ones, okay? Remember, these are the free ones. And he combined all the files like this to keep the file size down. So when you drop them in, go over to edit. Over here, you're gonna hit separate shells, and it's gonna break them all into the little parts. Now, there's not as much detail. The proportions are a little weird, but what's cool about it is he already went in there and added a channel for a metal rod. You can actually see the channel right here running up and down the blade and then a little bit into the handle. Oh my god, what is happening to my computer? So here's a whole channel for a metal rod. It's probably a 6 or 4 millimeter rod, which is great, but let's take a look at the actual Tengen files that I paid for. Now, when you go and get these and drop them in the mesh mixer, you are going to be met with a lot of parts. The modeler did give us a lot of options here. You can print I believe this is the Suba in halves or a full piece. You can print the handles in one or full pieces. I printed them in 2 separate pieces standing up. This way I had more options for fitting the full tang of the blade into the handle itself. And that'll make a little bit more sense later. But we're really not worried about the small parts. These are going to be easy enough to print on something like an Ender 3. I resin printed them, and you'll see that came out really cool, and it made sanding a lot easier. But the big thing is cutting the blade up using the plane cut feature in order to be able to fit it on a printer. So you select it, go to plane cut, and then you can rotate it around, you can move it forward and back, blah, blah, blah. I have a whole tutorial on cutting up blades and swords to fit printers, so I'll link that down below. But go through whatever printer you're using, cut the blade up, and if you want, you can also add your own metal rod, which I'll link that down below. It is a great video for making big swords too. So yeah, cut it up, chop it up, and you'll have your files. All right, so here are all the parts cut up in Mesh Mixer. I cut the blade into 5 parts, and depending on the size of your printer, you may have to do this more or less. Or if you have a belt printer, you might be able to print it in one shot. The handle, I did print these in 2 little parts, welded it down the middle, or sorry, the full tang of the blade. So don't worry about those. These little pieces, if you want to resin print them, feel free. That's totally fine, but they aren't that detailed. You can FDM print them just fine. I did not print the chain links because they sell real chains at the store, and I just bought some. So you'll see that. If they were going to resin print anything, at the very least, maybe this handle, the cross guard, or in this case, it's called the Tsuba. I resin printed those. They made painting and sanding a lot easier, but again, it's not a necessity. Just position it in a nice way. Use kind of minimal supports if you can, and it should come out just fine. The one thing the modeler didn't give me is 2 parts of the Suka, so you're going to need to duplicate this, so multiply it by 1, so you'll have 2 of them. But you need to remember to mirror it because of the way it's curved and shaped. You're going to need to mirror it. So go over here to mirror. It'll give you these arrows. Flip it that way. And then you should have 2 mirror images that if you line up super, super close. I'm talking super close. Not so they're touching, but a millimeter or less away, and print them standing up like this. It helps the survivability, and it actually fused them together barely. And I'm talking this small little gap was there, and I was able to actually break them apart once I printed them, and it made it a lot more stable to print as a cylinder instead of just being separated and standing like that. Now, obviously, these handles are a little tall, so you're going to need to print slow. That's a big problem with wobble, so definitely lower your speed settings. It's going to take a little bit longer, yes, but you'd rather make one print take a little longer than have to go and redo it 3 or 4 times because it had really bad shifting, layer lines, or it fell over. I also very much recommend using a raft for stability. It helps a lot. You could probably even throw in some custom supports up and down the model to maybe help stabilize it a little bit, especially if you're going to be sanding these things a lot. It'll really help. Now, when printing blades and swords and stuff, I use a pretty low infill, anywhere from 5 to 10%. I'll make sure that the handles, the lower parts of the blade, the things that's going to be holding a lot of the weight, those are going to be beefed up more, 10 to 15% infill. But then as I print the blade, the more I get towards the tip of the blade, I'll print it with less and less infill to save on weight. So the first part of the blade here, I might print that, the first part of the blade here, I might print this at something like a 10-15%, but then go down to a 7, then down to a 5, and maybe like a 3 or a 4. So play with those settings, but you just want to get all of these printed, get them out, make sure they survive, and we'll move on to putting them together. Okay guys, here we are with a bunch of the parts that we now need to get to fit together. So the handle and the blade itself sitting over here, this is all FDM printed, and FDM plastic is notorious for expanding the dimensions. Even though this wanted to print at say 100 millimeters wide, maybe it printed at 102, 103. It's a little bit bigger. Now we have some resin pieces here, and we need to get this all to fit together. As it sits right now, this handle fits together pretty nicely, but I need to get this pin through this hole, and it doesn't fit. So I'm going to sand some of the pieces down. I'm going to put a metal file in some of these holes, open it up. I'm going to make sure I can get all of these caps on properly. See, this one doesn't really fit. So I'm going to go through, sand some things down, and hopefully we'll be able to piece all of this together, and it'll look really cool. So let's get started. Look at this. It fits together beautifully. This is so cool. Like, this fit together so much better than the Rengoku katana. Probably should have did a little bit more work when I was fitting that, but this all locks together. These all have very specific Japanese names. I'm gonna not even try. This locks over perfectly. It holds the bottom of the handle. I can pop that out. Then I can push the pin out from the handle, remove these two pieces, and then everything slides down. I went and welded the tang to the first bit of the blade because there's no other way to get all of this stuff on. I need to be able to slide it completely over, or else I won't be able to assemble it. So testing everything, making sure it could fit all the way up and down the tang was very crucial to this aspect. And it's a little tight fitting, but I'm not gonna paint this. I'm not gonna worry about this. It's gonna get covered up anyway, but it is cool that I can take all of this apart. And yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I'm gonna weld the rest of the blades together, and I'll build up the other one. Okay, these could not have come out nicer. This is so cool. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is awesome. This entire handle, I am still blown away by this model. We're gonna do a little bit more sanding on these, and then it's into the garage. We're gonna start filling these seam lines and gaps, but really that's the only filling I need to do. Now I probably could have printed this on my belt printer, but I didn't really have it up and running, and I don't mind doing this type of work. It makes a little bit more of a satisfying product in the end. So let's get these out to the final prep. We'll start painting them, and oh man, I just remembered I don't have to tape off the flames like I did on Rengoku's katana. Oh my god. Okay, I totally forgot about my hands. While building this sword and painting, that's not real blood stains on my hands. They look filthy and I'm so sorry, but I had a can of metal cast red paint explode. I had dropped it in my garage while painting, and the nozzle tip just hit the ground the right way, and as I went down to go grab it, it blew off and just paint everywhere. My hand got caught in the stream. What you saw in the video right there was a lot of attempts, a lot of alcohol and rubbing alcohol and a lot of cleaners, and yeah, it stained for a while. My hands are good now, but through the rest of the video, you're probably going to see it doesn't look great. Sorry. Let's go on. I want to drop in real quick right here. I think one of the coolest things about this hobby is getting to learn something new. And in this case, I want to learn how to actually wrap a katana handle. It's the art of Tsukamaki. I hope I'm saying all of that right. And it's just the art of katana handle wrapping. And there's tons of different ways to do it. I've never done it before. I've obviously taken the handle wrap for Rengoku's katana, and it was just some pillowcase I wrapped around it. But I want to see if I can make this look real, because the way this katana builds feels so real. I want to give it that justice and have a real Tsuka wrap on it. For that, I've grabbed some wrap off of Amazon, and I'll link it down below. I wanted it to be a little bit of a brighter red, but this is the brightest red I could find. Still not bad, very realistic looking, and I'm gonna learn how to wrap a handle. Let's get started. Okay, not bad. I don't know. I think this looks really cool. Yeah, I couldn't find much information on finishing the wrap, because there aren't many katanas that are supposed to have a chain through the end. You're supposed to use this little cap, I forget the name of it, to actually incorporate and do the final knot in. So I kind of just glued it off. Yeah, Tsumi, I still need to get the chain through this, but like for my first handle wrap, I think that looks super cool, and I'm really proud of it, and it makes the whole sword look that much better, I think, and it feels really awesome. I could sit here all day and probably perfect it, and you know, I saw somebody online, they were using pins and needles kind of things to pull everything tight, but I'm pretty proud of this. Yeah, so I'll link down below the little quick tutorial I used to do this. Super simple, just a visual thing, and it's just rinse and repeat. So yeah, let's keep going. Oh my god. These came out so cool. I love these. Wow. Now, as you guys saw, the final little touch I put on these was a real chain. Yeah, you could print it and make it out of plastic, and they even sell plastic chains at Lowe's and Home Depot. Nothing's gonna replicate that really awesome metallic sound. And just as you move them and swing them around, just that noise it makes. There's nothing like it. It's really awesome. What's pretty cool about these swords is they remind me of two different weapons, like kind of combined. It's as if the Zangetsu from Bleach and the Blades of Chaos from God of War had like a weird fusion baby. And also, real chains. It's awesome. It's great. Oh my God. So before wrapping this up, a few little things I want to point out. Now, one of the biggest things you guys might notice is that the marking on the sides of the blade aren't as big as they were in the anime. Now, this is because of the way the modeler modeled them, and I guess I could have filled it in and painted the much bigger logo. I think it says destroy demons or annihilate demons. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But I like that it's a little bit smaller. I think it lends more into the fact of them being real swords instead of some giant, crazy anime weapon. The same can be said for Rengoku's katana, where I did the battle damage, even though it's because I kind of broke it, but I think it grounds it more in reality, and I think the smaller logos on these really help do that too. Also, I think his blades are supposed to have like a third color here. It's like a lighter gold or a yellow where the blade is sharpened. I'm really not too sad of having it. I think it looks great in the light, and these are gonna look awesome on the wall. I didn't show it in the video, but after I went and wrapped the handles, I actually glued them on. I actually moved the windings around a little bit and threw some super glue in there. This way they don't come off as I'm holding them and they don't slide around. With all that said, I do hope this video helps you guys make your own, or at least gives you an idea on some of the paints you can use, the fact that it's actually pretty easy to wrap your own handle. Now, I do want to correct myself and say, like, you know, this wasn't easy, but it's easy to get into. No, this isn't by any means like a professional job, but after lots and lots of practice, I'm sure I could get much better at it. But for doing it for my first, second, and third time, not too bad, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. If you guys haven't already, if you could subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell, this way you stay up to date on all the videos I'm putting out. And if you haven't left a comment down below telling me what Demon Slayer swords you want to see next, please make sure you do that before you head out. But that's gonna be a wrap for this video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and you have a good day. Now I gotta go save my 3 hot ninja wives. I'm kidding. I don't have 3 ninja wives. I have 1 wife. I love her very much. I love you.